Horses are now at the start. Going in first is Barter Island, OJ River, Rory Creek, across the track that way. The flag is up. Their turn. And they're off. It looks like Rory Creek out to the early lead, followed by OJ River and Barter Island. As they head to the first, that's Rory Creek, OJ River, and Barter Island. Rory Creek over first. All three horses are over the first fence fine. That's Rory Creek, OJ River, and Barter Island. Around the far turn, that looks like now Barter Island moving to the front over Rory Creek and OJ River. They're just heads apart as they come to the second fence. All three are over the second fence now. That's Rory Creek on the inside, Barter Island in the middle, and OJ River on the outside. As they turn and head to the third, that's Rory Creek, Barter Island, and OJ River. Rory Creek with about a 3-length advantage over the next two. Rory Creek over the third, Barter Island and OJ River. They head to the fourth, that's Rory Creek in a big hold. 4 back to Barter Island and another length back to OJ River. They're all over the fourth. That's Rory Creek, OJ River, and Barter Island as they head up along the woods. Rory Creek has opened up about 5, and OJ River and Barter Island are running neck and neck. As they make the far turn, the lead has been cut some. That's still Rory Creek taking a big hold in front by about 3 over OJ River and another 2 back to Barter Island. Somewhere up here they're going to be slowing to a trot if they can. I think we're seeing the slowdown right now. And they're back off and running, and OJ River seems to have gotten the best of the slowdown. That's OJ River followed by Rory Creek and Barter Island. Make that now Barter Island moving to the front over OJ River and Rory Creek. As they come to the stake and bound in the tree line. Heading now down towards the crowd, and they'll jump the brand new fence. Rory Creek now moves back to the lead in a big move, followed by Barter Island and OJ River. They head to the next, that's Rory Creek on top and over, followed by OJ River and Barter Island. Barter Island with a tricky fence there, but Houyhnhnm stays in the saddle. That's Rory Creek, OJ River, and Barter Island coming down to the next fence. Rory Creek with about a 3-length advantage over OJ River and Barter Island. They're all 3 safely over that. That's Rory Creek by about 3, OJ River and Barter Island. We're having a slowdown point here. We're even doing some circling. That's OJ River, Barter Island, and Rory Creek. They're off and running again. That's Remy Houyhnhnm on OJ River in front, followed by Houyhnhnm and Barter Island, and Stephanie Freundlich on Rory Creek. They'll make the turn now up into the coop. Barter Island back with the front, followed by OJ River and Rory Creek. they head to the coop. That's Barter Island, O.J. River, and Rory Creek, all three safely over that fence. They're not heading into the woods, they'll be making a loop around the stake and bound. They now have two fences to go. That's Barter Island, O.J. and Rory Creek. Please clear the finish line. Making the far third, that's Rory Creek, O.J. River, and Barter Island with two fences to go. Rory Creek with about a 5-length advantage. Now Remy Houyhnhnm's making up ground, and it's making a 3-length advantage. That's Rory Creek, O.J. River, and Barter Island. As they head to the second to last fence, that's Rory Creek, O.J. River, and Barter Island. All three safely over that, turning down the hill. That's Remy Houyhnhnm's making up ground on the inside on O.J. River. One fence to go. All three across the track. Barter River now on top. O.J. River and Rory Creek as they come to the last. All three across the track as they get to the last. First over O.J. River. Rory Creek was a follow at that fence. It's O.J. River and Barter Island as they come to the top of the stretch. That's O.J. River drawing away with Remy Houyhnhnm. At the top of the straight, that's O.J. River and Barter Island. At the top of the straight, O.J. River with about a 10-length advantage over Barter Island. That's O.J. River at the wire. Followed by Barter Island.
For the trophy, Gannon. Hand her the trophy. Thanks.
Starter Dennis Glocken's orders. Looks like going in first, St. John's and Earl Grey, Gust of Wind, and Harry. They'll be going across the track in that order. Dennis will give them the signal to turn and they'll be off. And they're off. Out to the early lead, that looks like Harry, followed by St. John, Gust of Wind, and Earl Grey. That is now St. John moving to the lead, followed by Earl Grey, Harry, and Gust of Wind. They're all over the first fence. That's St. John out to about 4 or 5 length advantage over Earl Grey, followed by Harry and Gust of Wind. First turn, Earl Grey has opened up about 10 on the rest of the field. Second place, that's Earl Grey, Harry, and then Gust of Wind. As they come to the second, it's still that order. St. John in front by some 5-10 lengths. Still out in front, that's St. John, Earl Grey, Harry, and Gust of Wind. As they make the turn there and head to the third fence, that's St. John by about 4 over Earl Grey, Harry, and Gust of Wind. Very sticky fence there by Gust of Wind. Back to the front, that's St. John, Earl Grey, Harry, and Gust of Wind. St. John on top by about 5. They're all over the fourth. That's St. John out in front by about 4 or 5 over Earl Grey. Another 3 back to Harry and another 3 back to Gust of Wind as they head up along the woods. They now make the turn up along Route 82. That's St. John opening up about 10 on the rest of the field. That's Earl Grey in second, 3 back to Harry, and another 6-7 back to gust of wind. As they head down along 82, that's Jordan Merklinski showing the way by about 8. Earl Grey, Harry, and gust of wind. Followed by Earl Grey, Harry, and gust of wind as they turn and come down towards the crowd. That's St. John in front. St. John and Jordan Merklinski, followed by Earl Grey with Michelle Hunter, Harry and Jasna Pravnik, and Barbara Blinn on gust of wind. That's St. John on front. St. John, Earl Grey, Harry, and gust of wind. As they approach the next, that's St. John over first, Earl Grey, Harry, gust of wind. St. John looking very comfortable in front, has about 5 on Earl Grey and about 3 back to Harry, who looks to be under a pretty good hold right now and going very comfortably. It's another 6 back to gust of wind. The front 3 have tightened up now. It's still St. John on front, Earl Grey in second, and Harry in third, but those group have tightened up. Over the coop, St. John, Earl Grey, and Harry, followed by gust of wind as they head up into the woods. Gust of wind is still coming long and fourth. As they approach the third to last, that's Earl Grey in front, St. John in second, and Harry moving up in third. Those horses are tightly bunched as they get to the third to last fence. Earl Grey over first, followed by Harry and St. John. With 2 fences to go, that's Earl Grey. Earl Grey, Harry, and St. John all over the third to last fence with 1 fence to go. It's Earl Grey on top, Harry in second, and St. John. They're all over the last. It's down to the wire now. That's Earl Grey and Harry. Harry has now jumped up to take the lead. That's Harry. Harry on top, Earl Grey and St. John as they come to the finish line. That's Harry on front by about 3. Earl Grey in second, and St. John as they come to the top of the straight. That's Harry in front at the wire by about 3 over Earl Grey and another 6 back to St. John. We still have gust of wind coming.
Okay, stand right there. Great.
Horses are now heading across the track. In first, Starvin' Marvin, Nordica in the red. They're turning, and they're off. That's Starvin' Marvin out to the early lead, followed by Nordica in this match race. They're out at a leisurely clip. That's Starvin' Marvin and Nordica. Both horses over the first. That's Starvin' Marvin with a couple lengths advantage over Nordica. As they make that far turn, that is Starvin' Marvin with a slight advantage over Nordica. They approach the second fence in the same order. That was Starvin' Marvin first over, followed by Nordica. Those two are now heads apart, with Nordica taking up the front end, followed very closely by Starvin' Marvin. As they approach this next fence, those two are heads apart. They picked up the speed just a shade now. That's Starvin' Marvin first over, about a half-length lead over Nordica, who moves right back to the lead. That's Nordica first at this next fence. Both horses over as they head up along the woods. That's Nordica and Starvin' Marvin. Those two are heads apart. Buzzy and Billy having a chat about what their strategy's likely to be. They're both lying right now. As they turn up along 82, that's Nordica and Starvin' Marvin, heads apart. Definite leisurely clip. Heading along 82, that's still Nordica Starvin' Marvin. Those two are still stride for stride as they come up to the stake and bound in the tree line. As they head down towards us now, that's Nordica in the red on top, followed by Starvin' Marvin. Nordica first over with about a 2-length advantage over Starvin' Marvin, who was a little sticky over that fence, but there was no apparent damage. Buzz had him on Nordica and Starvin' Marvin. Both horses are over that fence. The lead has narrowed now to about 1 length. That's Nordica on top, Starvin' Marvin in second. Both horses look very comfortable at this point, as well they should. Down the hill they go, with Nordica maintaining about a 1-length advantage over Starvin' Marvin. As they head up into the coop, that's Nordica and Starvin' Marvin. Those two are heads apart. Nordica first over, then Starvin' Marvin. Nordica now by about 3 as they head up into the woods. That's Houyhnhnm and Nordica comfortably in front, followed by Billy Meister on Starvin' Marvin. Jump this fence going into the woods. They'll be out of sight for one fence, and we should be able to pick them back up with 4 fences to go. Nordica, Starvin' Marvin in that order.
On the charge.
As they come back into the sight, that's Starvin' Marvin now in front.
You recognize
Nordica
your
by
lead?
about a length. The speed is picked up in this race
He's
now.
got
That's
Billy's.
Starvin' Marvin by
About to
about 2
leave him?
over Nordica.
Look at the stride on him.
Yeah.
They have 3 fences to go. That's
Your horse looks a
Starvin'
little tired.
Marvin by about 3. Nordica in second place. They're both over the third to last as they approach the second to last, the downhill coupe. That's Starvin' Marvin in front, about 3 back to Nordica. They're both over that fence with 1 fence to go. That's Starvin' Marvin on top. Nordica trying to get back up. That's Billy Meister and Starvin' Marvin over first. Nordica over and they head to the top of the straight. That's Starvin' Marvin by about 3. Nordica trying to get up there. Down the straight they come. That's Starvin' Marvin and Nordica. This is going to be a close race right to the wire. It's Starvin' Marvin and Nordica down through the stretch. Up at the top of the straight, that's Starvin' Marvin and Nordica. It looks like it's going to be Starvin' Marvin by about 2 over Nordica. Now making the presentation, the winning rider, Meister, was Wayne. They head across the track. In first, Proud Dog, followed by Storm North, Sportin' King, and the gray horse, Jiminy. The flag is up. Horses are turning. And they're off. That appears to be Storm North out to the early lead with Proud Dog, followed by Sportin' King and Jiminy. Now it's Proud Dog taking up the front end, followed closely by Storm North and Sportin' King and Jiminy. They're all over the first fence. That's Proud Dog on top by about 2 over Storm North, Sportin' King and Jiminy. Change the order quickly. That's now Sportin' King out in front. Proud Dog in second. Storm North in third, followed by Jiminy. As they make the far turn and head towards second first, that's Sportin' King, Proud Dog, Storm North, and Jiminy. First 3 are over the second, and now Jiminy's over. That's Sportin' King on top by about 2 over Proud Dog, Storm North, and Jiminy. They make the turn and head for the third fence. That's Sportin' King on top, about 5 back to Storm North and Proud Dog, who are heads apart, followed by Jiminy. They're all over that third fence and heading for the fourth. That's Sportin' King showing the way by some 4 or 5 lengths over Proud Dog. Another length back to Storm North and about 6 back to Jiminy. They're all over the fourth, heading up along the woods. That's Sportin' King showing the way. Proud Dog and Storm North. Those 3 are heads apart, and it's about 5 back to Jiminy. as they start to make the turn down along Route 82. That's Sporting King showing the way by some 3 or 4 lengths over Proud Dog. Another length back to Storm North. Storm North now moving into second over Proud Dog. It's Sporting King on top by about 3. Storm North, Proud Dog, and Jiminy. They head down along 82. That's Sporting King by about 3. Storm North 2 back to Proud Dog, and Jiminy closing ground in 4th. That's Alexander Robertson and Sporting King on top, followed by Ann Hamilton and Storm North, Billy Meister on Proud Dog, and Kate Fitzpatrick on Jiminy as they head down in front of the crowd. That's Sporting King on top, Storm North in second, Proud Dog in third, and Jiminy. They're all 4 over that fence. That's still Sporting King on top, Storm North in second, Proud Dog in third, and followed up by Jiminy. These 4 are moving along a lot faster than the rest of the horses have been going today. That was Sporting King and Storm North together over that fence on the front end, followed by Proud Dog and Jiminy. That's Sporting King by 1 over Storm North, about 2 back to Proud Dog and 3 back to Jiminy. All horses look like they are under a tight hold at this point. Still in front, that's Sporting King, followed by Storm North and Proud Dog. Proud Dog making up a lot of ground on the inside of that fence, followed by Storm North and Sporting King and Jiminy. Those 4 are over that fence, heads apart. That's Storm North in front, Proud Dog, Sporting King, and Jiminy. As they head into the woods, that's Storm North, Sporting King, Proud Dog, and Jiminy. I believe that's Storm North. About 6 back to Sporting King, and it looks like we have a lost rider on Jiminy. 3 fences to go. That's Proud Dog on top, Storm North in second, and Sporting King. They turn down to the hill to the second to last. That's Proud Dog and Storm North. Over that fence, that's Proud Dog, Storm North, and Sporting King. They come to the last. That's Billy Meister on Proud Dog and Ann Hamilton on Storm North. They're both over that fence. As they turn and head down to the straight, that's Storm North trying to make up ground on Proud Dog. When they turn to the top of the straight, that's Proud Dog and Storm North. It's Proud Dog at the top of the straight, followed by Storm North as they come down the straight. That's Proud Dog and Storm North. And we have Sporting King coming here in third. Coming back into the paddock here, 2 unofficial winners, Proud Dog and Storm North. Proud Dog winner of the Cheshire Foxhounds and Storm North winner of the Valentine Memorial. The Joseph Walker 3 Memorial, Cheshire Foxhounds, Kyler Walker out making the presentation. Today's winning rider, Billy Meister and his son, Scott Meister, and the wife of the owner, Mrs. Irvin S. Naylor.
as they make their turn. And they're turning and off. Okay, Callahan Ridge is leading over Houyhnhnm and Aspen Slopes up slowly to the first jump. It's very heavy going down there. You can just see the mud fly. And all three across in the order in your program. Callahan Ridge, followed by Houyhnhnm and Aspen Slopes. Callahan Ridge is now ahead by about 6 lengths, making the turn, coming back to the second jump. Callahan Ridge over the second jump, and then Houyhnhnm and Aspen Slopes, all safely as they come back toward us and then make their right turn to go to the north. Callahan Ridge ahead by about 5 lengths. Houyhnhnm, and then 3 further lengths back, Aspen Slopes. They're taking a fairly slow pace and they're staying to the high ground because it's heavy going today. All 3 horses staying together up along the wood, staying on the highest ground possible. And they make their turn to go along Route 82. It's still Callahan Ridge, 2 lengths back Houyhnhnm, and 1 length back Aspen Slopes. Callahan Ridge has picked up the pace slightly, stretched out a little bit. And Houyhnhnm is retaining the position of second, and Aspen Slopes following along. Fairly tight grouping. Now they drop down the hill and swing toward us, and the order is still the same: Callahan Ridge, Houyhnhnm, and Aspen Slopes. Rachel Walsh is still leading the field. Ann Hamilton is keeping a hunting distance behind, and Susan Sharp is well within reach in 3rd place. And now they're across that new fence and coming toward us. Callahan Ridge across. Aspen Slopes has made a move up but has then dropped back, and now challenging for first is Houyhnhnm. But then they drop back into their original order: Callahan Ridge, Houyhnhnm, and Aspen Slopes, easing down that steep grade. nicely across the new chicken coop and headed toward the woods. The order is still the same. Callahan Ridge, ridden by Rachel Walsh, followed by Holtzman 2 lengths back, ridden by Ann Hamilton, and Aspen Slopes, ridden by Susan Sharp. They come across that fence side by side, and Holtzman has made his move, and Hamilton's bringing them on side by side with Callahan Ridge, and it's going to be a close race as Callahan Ridge and Holtzman are driving for home. And about 10-15 lengths back is Aspen Slopes, and here they come through the cut. Holtzman is in a good position to come across, and a length, 2 lengths behind is Callahan Ridge. And here they come across the finish line, and it is in third place, Aspen Slopes, trained by Patty Miller for Houyhnhnm Farm and ridden by Susan Sharp.